poppin', my Freeform Renegades? You are tuned into the Freeform Network. Thanks for joining us for another fun episode of Freeform Radio. I am your host, Noel. My co-host, Daniel, unfortunately, is not here today, but of course we have Andy.
What's going on, man, in the streets of Chicago, everyone?
Yeah, it's another beautiful day here in Chicago. Wherever you listeners are, we hope you're sitting cool, feeling right, and ready for this episode here tonight. And today we got a good one. So let's start off, Andy. You said you've been watching a few, you've been in the entertainment mood right now, so you've been watching some new stuff. Well, what's going on right now?
So I don't shy from watching movies all day. I've done it basically my whole adult life. You know, before we had the great technology of streaming, I used to go to the theaters, the multiplexes, and walk in the morning at like 10, 11 in the morning, pay, and I watch 3-4 movies. I'll be there a whole Saturday. Like, I used to do it a bunch when I was younger. And now with the streaming technologies and Netflix and certain websites, I can indulge that, but here at the comforts of my own home and my big screen TV.
Oh yeah, things have definitely come a long way.
I don't even have to pay. Just I can pause. You know, one of the things, I love movies. I'm a movie watcher. I have a shitload of DVDs. But since the advent of big screen TVs, nothing beats the home theater experience. And as much as I hate to say it, I'll still go to the movies in the summer. But I would prefer to watch movies at home on my big screen TV, on my sound bar, or whatever device I'm using to stream it, to watch a Blu-ray, whatever, and nothing beats watching it at home.
No, I agree. I mean, it's nice every now and again to do a special occasion and go out and watch it, but definitely for the majority of movies, I enjoy it better at home, relaxed, and then be able to pause, like you said, and get a chance to kind of be more yourself, because when you're out in public, I mean, you have to conduct yourself in a certain way. You know what I mean? And when you're in your privacy of your own home, well, you could do whatever pleases your fancy.
So yeah, with that being said, I love movies. So one of the first movies I saw since we last recorded, one of these movies in the old days, I'm not gonna necessarily pay to go watch it. It's like it's a film. It's not a movie. It's a movie called Will They Ever Forgive Me? And it stars Melissa McCarthy, and she is down and out actress. I don't know if have you seen the trailer? Have you heard of the movie, Noel?
No, I know Melissa McCarthy. She was in the Ghostbusters most recently.
Yeah, that god awful thing. Yeah. So she's trying to, I guess, to do some serious acting chops, and this movie starts with this down and out. This is based on real life, based on an actual story or event, however they word it. And that's my type of movie. I love those movies. She's down and out writer who wrote a couple of best-selling books, and she loses her job, and she's trying to get work, and she's trying to sell her old books. She's going to her agent, says, I need to publish a book, and she's writing books like biographies of forgotten stars and so forth, from the 20s and 30s. And her manager's like, you can't write about that stuff. No one gives a fuck about it no more.
Damn.
So yeah, it's so she's researching this actress from the 20s, and she goes to the New York Public Library or the University of one of the universities up in New York, in the actual New York City, and she finds this letter. She finds, while she's researching, she finds these letters that were put in a book, and she tries to sell them, and she finds out she gets money. And the lady who she sells it to goes, oh, you would get more money if the letters are more personalized. They have the signature of the famous artist. So she goes from there. She gets this grand idea to go start making forgery letters about these stars because people are paying money to collect them. The collectors will pay it, and there's high end collectors, and the movie just goes from there. And eventually, they kind of figure out she's making bullshit letters. The FBI is after her, and and she gets caught. She gets some service, public service, and it wraps up from there. And I don't want to. I pretty much gave the whole movie, but there's a couple details that I don't want to give you guys. But watch the movie, and she at the end credits are talking about how she created over 400 fake letters, and some of them to this day are still trying to figure out which if it's real, because the letters sound just. It makes sense that they were written by the person she was trying to emulate in the actor or actress emulate in the letter, try to get the feel for it, and she's they're still floating out there, basically is what I'm saying, because they're having a hard time identifying if it's a real or a fake, because there's the sentiment in the letter seems so real, like yes, this could be written by this person.
So this is based on a true story, is what you're saying?
That's correct. In
Wow. Okay.
I'm not giving it justice, but I describe it. But it is actually excellent written. It's excellently played. The actors, Melissa McCarthy, she does a superb job in this. The character she portrays is like you kind of feel bad for her, because she's down on her luck and she's trying to just to survive. I guess she has to pay her rent. She has a cat, and she's struggling. She's struggling to get by, and she sees this, and she takes it for what it's worth because, she's written books. She's written bestsellers. She's been on the New York Times bestseller list, and she's fucking broke.
Yeah, it's a shame, man. Authors don't really get the recognition they deserve. I could see how she could write all these letters. I mean, the real person. I could see how they wrote them all, because if she really read all these biographies about these people, so she knows them very well then, so she could write a letter mimicking their style and almost get in their mindset of what they would have said or wanted to say.
Exactly. So that's the only reason she got caught is because she sold it to this guy who sold to like private collectors, and he sold some of the letters she created to some California guy, and he kind of like knew like this isn't this person. I know they wouldn't talk about this stuff, and that's the only reason she got caught. And they reported her, and even in the world of like this forgery, this guy, the one guy she sold a lot to, he's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm here about making money. He calls her, and he's like, yeah, come to my shop. We need to talk. I need more letters. And then he's like, look, the FBI came here. They talked to me. They're looking for you. But I didn't tell them. I didn't give them any information. And she's like, oh, thank you, man. Like, but what you are going to do is you're going to give me $5,000 so I won't say anything. And she went like to full panic mode and stuff, and it just it goes the shadiness even in like the world of the elite, like these letters from like forgotten stars or actors or writers, they're still like fucking bullshit. People trying to fuck over each other,
Oh, it never ends, man. But I believe that Melissa McCarthy did a good job. I mean, she's a Chicago actress, well trained. So it's good. I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, she's come a long way, from like Bridesmaids. I mean, she's known as a comedic actress.
She was in Gilmore Girls, dude.
Yeah, I know. Like, I watched some Gilmore Girl. I real quick, I went to California. I did the Warner Brothers tour lot, and they still had stuff up from Gilmore Girls. And half the people on the tour, mostly ladies, went fucking crazy for that fucking show, dude. It was ridiculous because they had this steeple and this house, and the ladies, the older ladies, were just going fucking crazy for it. I'm like, what is this show? And then I saw it was on Netflix, and I came back home and I watched a couple episodes. I'm like, I kind of see what would they would like. It's not my show. Then I
Right.
saw that Netflix brought it back like a year or two ago. I don't know if they're gonna do more, but like people were just talking. It was like all this buzz on like certain websites. I'm like,
Yeah,
you know,
the TV show Supernatural.
yes,
So Sam Winchester and that from that show, he was a very like important character in Gilmore Girls for a long time, and that's where he got
really,
his start. Yeah, that's where he got, and then after Gilmore Girls, that's when he started Supernatural, and he's just been on the CW for the longest. Well, back then it was called ABC Family, I think, or something like
yeah.
that.
CW was Warner Brothers,
Oh,
the
Warner.
Warner Brothers channel or network, and then
Oh,
it became CW. And then I don't know if they're still around. I think it is. It's on. It's still around, I believe. Like I don't know how much networks matter any now. Now, but I think it is still on TV.
yeah, everything's merging nowadays. It's all the same shit, really.
Well, yeah, the the landscape of networks has changed so much. I've been told not to talk about the business of entertainment by some of our fans. They said it was boring, but that shit intrigues me.
Oh man, yeah.
So I heard this other part. Barry Diller. He used to run Fox and some other studios. He was talking about how irrelevant Hollywood is, and what he meant by that, like that's a bold statement. Like the big networks are like the studios, Disney, Universal, Fox, Paramount, like all that shit don't matter no more. Netflix kicked their ass, and what the studios used to do when shit would come up and they saw it was popular, they would buy it. But nobody bought Netflix when they come up. The only company they had a shot to buy it was Blockbuster. You heard that story, right, Noel?
I think I heard about that because
Reed Hastings went to them. They had a meeting with Blockbuster.
like I heard about that was like Blockbuster's last chance to stay relevant and afloat. Because after that, Netflix took over, and then
Yeah.
Blockbuster went down the shitter.
So what I can recall is they had a meeting with Blockbuster. They talked to him about the DVD uh, mail rental thing and shit down the road. And they're like, we buy us out, or this could be yours. I think they asked for $50 million, and Blockbuster said, like, you're all fucking crazy. People are gonna go to they're gonna come to our stores to rent, and the rest is history.
Yeah, they didn't see the internet taking off the way it did. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. So yeah, I mean that shit intrigues me. Like I always wondered if I got presented some opportunity like that. I was just like, oh man, like I don't know if I should like if I could pull the trigger, because Blockbuster at the time was, dude, the late fees alone, they were making a shitload of money on late fees. Remember when we got rid of late fees because people were bitching about it? That really hurt their bottom line.
Oh, I could imagine, man. I mean, you got to make money somewhere, and it's not going to be from just the movies itself. I don't think.
Right. So, wheeling it back in, let's go back to the movie. The other movie I saw, I don't know if you saw it, and I was really excited about this movie. Did you see Creed 2, Noel?
All right, I haven't seen Creed 1, so
Oh man.
but I'm gonna watch both of them. Sometime soon. I don't know exactly when, but yeah, I've been looking forward to it, kind of. But it's not something that I've been so excited about that I have to watch right away. So
Man, well, you know us, your brother, Nanny, and us, and that whole group, man, we fucking love Rocky movies. We could talk about them all day. We could fucking watch them all day. And when I first heard of Creed, I was like, man, I don't know if this is gonna work. And there was a couple things I didn't like about the first Creed, but overall, it's a good fucking movie. Rocky's son in the movie wasn't a boxer, so naturally they found Creed, and it felt right, man. It was like that's what that is what they needed for at that time for that franchise. And I really got excited about Creed 2 because I heard Drago was coming back and so forth. So I don't know how much spoilers you want, Noel, or you want to take your headphones off.
Nah, it don't bother me, man. We just got to give a spoiler alert for the fans.
Fuck all them guys, man. You should all watch the movie, man. It's on the websites. But yeah, dude, it was man. There's a couple things I didn't like about it, but overall, the movie was all right. He fights Drago's son. The return of communism or socialism, and he fights him. He becomes, Creed is the champ. People are not respecting him because he feels like the competition, what he fought for, was like past their prime. And then Drago comes out with his kid. He fucks him up. He gets disqualified, and he gets to redeem himself because in the first fight, Rocky didn't want to train him.
Oh,
and he's like, oh, basically, it's like Mickey fucking Rocky 3, man. He'll tear you up, huh? And then but Creed, Rocky's like, oh yeah, man, this kid's hungry, man. You don't know, and it goes from there. He beats his ass, but he gets disqualified. He retrains hit the montage, but this time, then they go to Russia. Bada bing, bada boom. Communism's dead again. And they all start fucking chanting. They don't chant Creed or Rocky. They just start partying and shit.
Oh man, I'm looking it up on IMDb right now to kind of see what it's about and what it got reviewed. It got actually good reviews.
Yeah, it got really good reviews. Yeah.
Like, damn. It's got Miss Huxtable, man.
Yeah, Fashila Rasad is in it. And she's Creed's wife, but she wasn't the Creed wife in the original movies. Right. And but I highly recommend it. If you love the fucking Rocky movies, which I do, you gotta watch it, man.
No, my favorite's the first one, but I did like the series. It was definitely entertaining, every single one of them.
The 1, 2 is great. 1 is the best. 2 is great. 3, it's all right. The one where he defeats communism. Even Drago in the fucking Creed movie says, because of you, I lost everything, even my country, like everything, man. Fucking Rocky destroyed communism. And then 5 was And then Rocky Balboa it is what it is. It was just a good nostalgia thing. And then the Creed movies have been pretty good. I highly recommend them. You won't get disappointed.
It made good money. It made $175 million on a $50 million budget, so it made 3 times its money. That's pretty good.
The first one, I believe, was directed by the first Creed was directed by the guy who directed Black Panther, and that's why he got Jordan, that guy, to be Killmonger in Black Panther because they worked so good.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and then so the second one, it wasn't directed by him. I think he produced it, but they got another director, and it wasn't like the first one, but overall it was still good,
Yeah, Ryan Coogler, and he's doing Black Panther 2 as well.
Right. The Black Panther movie, the first one was all right. It was, I don't know if it was great, but it was good. And people want to give it an Oscar. I don't think it deserves an Oscar. If you want to talk on that taboo subject, Noel.
I don't mind talking about it, to be honest. Some movies get overhyped because people get excited about the fact that comics are now becoming more diverse, and that's fine and all. But that doesn't mean that just because it's diverse, it deserves all this award and recognition. It should be about the movie. It should be about the quality of the movie, not the fact that it has a diverse cast or actors or directors and stuff like that. So to me, I saw Black Panther. I enjoyed it, but to me, it was on par with the other Marvel movies, and it's nothing that's extremely special or that stood out from the other Marvel movies. And in my mind, that'll
Man,
probably get us some hate, but you know what? That's just my opinion. If you don't agree with it,
controversy on freeform radio, man. You're just thinking too much insight for these kids, man.
I mean, hey, either you just gotta accept other people's opinions. You don't have to like it, but you gotta accept it.
Well said.
I accept that they won an Oscar for it. All right, that's their opinion, but I just don't agree with that. I think there needs to be more. There needs to be more. I need to see elevated for it to be Oscar worthy. Leonardo DiCaprio didn't get an Oscar for most of his career until the most recent movie. And I can't even freaking remember.
The one he fought the bear?
Yeah.
That god awful movie. I saw that. I didn't like that one.
Man, I'm shocked. I thought that was pretty great. The Revenant.
Yeah, that was with the Bane, right? Was it Bane?
Yeah,
He fought Bane, right?
Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
That was the villain. He didn't get an Oscar until that, and you're telling me Black Panther's gonna get an Oscar? It's like, nah, man. I'm sorry. You really got to step up your game. If you want an Oscar, at least that's the way it should be. Otherwise, Oscars is gonna lose its value. If you just start giving it out, oh, you're diverse here, here's the affirmative action Oscar for you. It's like, no, that's not how it works, man.
Throw all that hate and shade at us at FFR radio on Twitter, or send us those fucking emails. We'll love it. We'll read it. We got a show coming up soon on all our love we get from our fucking fans and hate. So, wrapping it up for me, the other thing I got going on, I bought this pizza oven on Black Friday. The thing's fucking awesome. The best $40 I've ever spent, and the quickest pizza you ever have. And I'm debating what else I should throw in that fucking thing, because these pizzas are fucking... I like my pizza, the cheese a little burnt, and my thin crust very crunchy. And this thing fucking does it in like in under 5-6 minutes.
Damn. That sounds delicious, man.
Dude, it's the best $40 I spent on Black Friday. I've been talking about getting a pizza oven for like 2 years. I finally bought it. And I'm like, how fucking hard. The only thing I don't like, it's really fucking bulky, but that thing can fit like a fucking large pizza. And we've been throwing pizzas on it, and the thing's fucking amazing, man. Like I said, the best $40, and you can't go wrong with it, man.
Now, do you make it from scratch, or how'd you
I've done pizzas from scratch. I've done deep dish pizzas. I got a cast iron pan, and I've like literally mixed the dough. Like, I didn't buy this prepackaged shit. Like, I mixed the dough, rolled it out, put it in this pan, put the bread, the flour and crumbs on the bottom like this shit, and put it around the edges, and bought like mozzarella slices and spinach and like all this shit. And it's put the sauce. It was fucking pretty good. This thing could take a deep dish. You could take a thin crust, regular pan pizza. You put it in this thing, and it's pretty fucking sweet, man. And it has temperature settings just high or low. You hook it up. It says that you have to set a timer to it, because if you let it go on, it'll fucking burn your house down, I think.
Jesus Christ.
So after 30 minutes, it like shuts down. I don't give a fuck what you're doing. It'll just shut down.
That's a good safety feature,
And then even after you turn it off, you hear like a little fan going, and it says that if you hear a fan after you turn it off, that's normal. So it'll run for the next 15 minutes, because we need to cool the fucking oven down.
No, that makes sense. I mean, they got to get really hot to cook. Ovens naturally get to like 400 degrees or something like that. So, or no, 300 to 400. So,
but that's what I got going on. I know, Noel, you had a busy week too. I mean, we were just talking about Black Panther. That's a Marvel property. You mentioned you've been watching the show The Gifted, and it might be moving soon. I think that was a show on FX, if I wasn't correct, or was it actually on Fox?
No, it was on Fox originally, season 1 and 2, which is currently airing. Season 3, however, hasn't been renewed yet by Fox, And I know that you and Daniel talked about Fox merging with Disney. So the question is whether Fox will renew it for a third season, or will it be on Disney, or are they going to shop it around to other networks? Considering it is a Marvel product.
Well,
Um,
real quick, you know how Netflix and Disney or Marvel had that deal and they canceled the Defenders, all those shows.
yeah,
And the rumor is they're gonna have it on that Disney Plus streaming platform that's gonna come out this year.
yeah, that's the hope because a lot of those shows are actually pretty good. Defenders was, average at best. It was worth watching in my opinion, but it was kind of like a lower budget Avengers, but it was still worth watching. But standalone shows, Daredevil was great. Punisher was amazing. They have some good shows. Luke Cage, of course, is there. Jessica Jones has a fan base, and even Iron Fist. I myself enjoyed, even though people hated on it because they had a white male lead.
They had
Even
a
though
white
the
man.
even though it has, the character's based on a white character, I don't understand the hate.
What
But
would have happened if it was? I'm just throwing this out there. It was, and I've confirmed this on the streets. If it was an Asian looking person, but they were from Mexico, but there still be hate, and then that he had an accent.
uh, I think white people deep down would have been like, "Man, why did you have to change it?" But I don't think they'd voiced their opinion. But the other side, the flip side, is I guess you want to say minorities or whatever, or other races. They are more vocal about their opinions, and so if you make somebody that's supposed to be ethnic white, ethnic people will throw a hissy fit. But if you make somebody that's supposed to be white ethnic, well, white people tend to just kind of keep it to themselves.
Make that man black.
I mean, when they changed Nick Fury, no one really, not that I heard at least, not a lot of people threw a tantrum about it. And I mean, fucking Sam Jackson, he's done all right. I
In
have
the
no complaint.
comic, in the defense, sorry to interrupt, Noel, there
That's
was some controversy, and I forgot what happened in the Ultimate series. This is when I still read comics a lot. It didn't make sense to some people. They're just like, yeah, we need more diversity. That was, I think, the main reason. But even when in the Ultimate series, it's like a separate timeline in the Marvel universe. When Captain America wakes up from when they get him out of his when they find his body and defrost him, and Nick Fury, when he's black, in the Ultimates, he's talking to him, and Captain America's like, he's listening. He like gets up and fucking clocks him, like he punches him out, and he goes, "Yeah, a black commander, yeah, right." And like he thought the Nazis were trying to trick him or something. He like jumped out of this tower. Like even he was like, "Yeah, this is bullshit, dude. There's no such thing as like a black commander in the army or whatever, or in Shield." He like fucking knocked them out.
Oh damn, dude! How was that received by the fans?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like at the time, when they first saw it, there was like some people like, oh, how can you do this to this character? It just shouldn't matter what race, and people were like, that don't bother me none. And what I can remember, there was some voices of like, yeah, this sucks, but overall, I think they just accepted it and they went, because the Ultimate timeline or it was overall very popular and it was very very well written, so people not forgave them, but they're like, yeah, this works for me, I'm not gonna make a big stink about it.
Yeah, I guess if you do good on the other aspects, then it'll make up for some of these things that people might be irked about.
That's what I'm saying. It's overall, people are generally going to complain, but if it's good, it's good. If it's not, then you're going to hear more shit about it.
Yeah, there's been a lot of controversy with Marvel recently, and yeah, I heard for the comics at least, I've kind of given up on it. I think they're changing it way too much that at this point, I don't have as much of an interest in it as I do like maybe the shows or the movies and stuff coming out. I used to be into comics, man. I used to love it, but I hear they're changing Spider-Man now, and they got this new Miles Morales, which is okay. I know people like him, but uh, I'm a OG Peter Parker fan, so that's who I'm gonna always want to read about or want to see in the movies and etc. I also heard they changed Iron Man, which I was a fan of, and now it's I think an African American girl, younger girl.
Oh, I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, yeah, that's look into that one. That's a new change I heard is coming, if it's not already in effect for the Iron Man comic series. And I'm just like, okay, I don't know why they're changing the original superheroes. I'm diversity has I have no problem with it. Um, if anything, everybody wants to, relate to comics. Any fan of it wants to find themselves or something that they can relate to and connect to in the comics. Me myself, I don't think I've ever found a character that I can connect with, but I still enjoyed watching all these other characters that are out there. I don't see why, if you want to have a woman of color have an action superhero, why they can't make a standalone and just have them join into the series. At a certain point, give a little backstory, make them relevant, make them interesting, and then get them into the mix of things.
It's
The
like like I'm saying, when it's good, it's gonna when what good is good. Like if it's well written and well done, good is good, and it's always gonna work. When it's bad or you're being stuff's being pushed down your throat, that's when people start complaining or you start getting a backlash. And we've seen that a lot in the last like 3 years in media, in movies, books, TV shows, and that's the problem. And then they classify certain people as just being idiots or ignorant.
Yeah, no, yeah. Usually they start hating on the fans and they say, "Oh, it's the fans' problem." I mean, I think it's the fact that people aren't creative enough, that they're just changing what's already original, what's already been made, what was done, decades ago, and they're changing it to try to suit a newer audience, and it's just not going to fly. You're going to lose the older audience, which grew up loving these characters. Um, I'll give you a few examples. Ghostbusters, we were just talking about it earlier with Melissa McCarthy. They changed the original, and actually, I heard they're bringing the original cast back for a new one, like a reboot, or not a reboot,
Oh,
but
they're
a
making us
continuation.
a continuation of the last of the original canon or whatever of Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray. That is getting another movie, and like they're like ignore the girl one
Right? Yeah,
that didn't
that's what
work.
I mean.
Forget about it. Yeah,
That's what I mean by reboot, like a void of the 2016 version.
dude, I
Eh,
saw so many things on the Ghostbusters, the female one on YouTube. People breaking it down from like Sony what they wanted to the director. They had all this stuff, and it was just like I don't want to say they were pushing an agenda, but they wanted it to be different, and it just like it went off the rails, dude. There's a couple good things that are like a breakdown of what happened.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Like I want, like I said, I want to see diversity succeed, but when you do it in these ways and you force it down people's throats, it's just, it's not gonna fly. It's not gonna do as well as you want, and then it's gonna come back to bite you in the ass. And what are they gonna do? They're gonna blame it on fans. And actually, that kind of brings me up to this most recent controversy with Captain Marvel. I don't know if you heard about it with Brie Larson. She kind of made some comments that pretty much against white men and saying how she doesn't want to see as many white men in the press tours that she's doing. She wants to see more diversity, and it's kind of it's sparked a bit of an outrage from really the core demographic throughout all of comic history, which is white men.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Disney handles this because Marvel generally they do not have any type of controversy when it comes to their movies. And when I heard about this and like leading up to when this happened recently, there already was like not a like people weren't excited about Captain Marvel. I mean, there's some general buzz, but overall, all the YouTube stuff and like that I follow, and people are just they're like, I'm not really into it. Like Brie Larson doesn't excite me, and it looks like it's a period movie like in the 80s or 90s or something, and people are just like, I think I could wait, or there's just no buzz around it.
Exactly. I was watching a few YouTubers cover this whole controversy as well as their thoughts on the movie. I saw it from a male perspective and a female perspective, and surprisingly, they both agreed. From the male perspective, they were talking about the numbers, and they were projected before all these comments were made. Everybody was projecting that Captain Marvel would be a great success. It would make an opening weekend like somewhere north of $180 million, which is like fucking crazy. You know, it's great. It's a very successful opening weekend to have. And after these comments, unfortunately, those numbers have dwindled. They've dropped article by article, week by week. Projections have dropped 20 million, 20 million, 30 million. Now it's saying, oh, well, you know what? If they make 80 million opening weekend, that'll be pretty good. And it's like, man, how do you lose $100 million projection in just a few weeks? You know, these comments had to have some impact. You know, you got to imagine you lost at least 100,000 people when you started singling out white men who have loved and supported the industry for decades.
Right.
And that was the male perspective. I saw a female perspective because I wanted to see what do other women think about this whole thing. And surprisingly, I was I was surprised that this woman, she's a big comic fan, and she grew up on these comics through her whole life. She's you would say a nerd, kind of like I guess we would be, and she was pretty upset about the comic. I mean, the portrayal that the comic book hero was going to have in the films. She was like, how is it that somebody we've never seen in the movie series is all of a sudden going to come and outshow every character that they've built up for a decade? Because the movies, Avengers and all the prequels, I guess you could say the standalone for each hero. You know, Thor had 3, Iron Man had 3. There's a few others out there, Captain America. They all had a decade of build up, and you got to connect with the characters. You got to love the characters and grow with them, and you relate to them. And all of a sudden, Captain Marvel is just gonna come in and swoop and take all the glory. She's like, I'm not really buying it. Like, I don't relate to that. I don't give a fuck about this character. She was saying how Captain Marvel even had an air of arrogance to her. And whereas Thor and Iron Man specifically, she gave examples of, they started out as like playboys, thinking that they were the shit, and then they had to go through some catastrophic shit, and they had to grow up and become the responsible people that they are now, defending the world, risking everything, and being pretty much the ultimate making the ultimate sacrifice to protect the world and its people. Whereas Captain Marvel's coming around like looking down on Nick Fury supposedly, and saying, just pretty much acting arrogant and thinking like she's the shit. And then all of a sudden she's gonna have all these powers and destroy Thanos como nada. And I'm just like, man, you know what? She kind of makes a point. I'm like, I don't really care about Captain Marvel myself. After all these comments, I'm not sure if I'm gonna watch it in theaters. I might just wait for it and watch it at home whenever it comes out on Netflix or whatever. But it's interesting to see that both sides, men and women, agree that Captain Marvel, and after Brie Larson's comments, are pretty much making people not want to see this movie and unenthusiastic about it.
Well, ever since she said that her the Rotten Tomatoes score dropped to 63% before anyone even seen it, and then here's some of the comments I'm reading on this. It's called twofab.com. It says online trolls are already trashing Captain Marvel's Rotten Tomato score, and here's some of the comments. Brie Larson has already said, "This isn't for me. I'll spend my money somewhere else." Let me see what else. Larson has made it clear men not need attend this movie. The other one, not interested in supporting Brie Larson's agenda. Tired of all this SJW nonsense. Marvel execs are already bragging that Captain Marvel is the most powerful hero in the Marvel universe. This pretty much guarantees that she's going to be a total Mary Sue. Disney has already killed the Star Wars movie franchise. This looks like it will be the first nail in the MCU coffin. Not interested in seeing another SJW propaganda film. Hopefully Captain Marvel doesn't take down Avengers 4 with it. Terrible movie. I hate it already. They haven't even seen it.
It's crazy, man. It's honestly though, it's kind of deserved. You know, they went through it. They went at it in the wrong way. I think she could have probably been successful if they had built her up. You know, a little bit more throughout the series, throughout this decade, and not just shove her down our throats. But it kind of makes sense if you go according to the social justice warrior timeline and the way radical feminism has become more in the mainstream in the recent years. So it makes sense how this is happening, but it's gonna come back to bite them in the ass, unfortunately.
I mean, people let us know again. Send us those what you guys think, or hit us up on Twitter. I mean, we can't stress that enough. Let us know what you guys are thinking. But overall, I wasn't really excited for Captain Marvel. I wasn't excited at all. And then when this stuff came out, I'm like, now I'm like, for sure, I don't really want to. Like, I could wait, but I'm not. I'm not feeling it. I'm ready for Avengers 4. You know, I'm like, I could skip this movie and just go watch Avengers 4. You know.
Likewise, yeah, that's probably what's gonna end up happening, honestly. Because if I wait for it to come out on DVD or whatever, Blu-ray, I'm sure Avengers 4 is gonna be out by then. I'll just see that in theaters.
Well, Avengers comes out is that a Memorial Day? And then I think this one comes out this week, or by the time this is out, the movie will be out, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
True.
it's like it's gonna come out shortly. Like by the time we drop this podcast, the movie will be out. So
that just shows you, like, that shows you how much I don't really care, man. Like, I don't even know what day it's coming out.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I just know it's I think in March, but I could be wrong. I mean, but I know by the time this podcast drops, it will be out already. So let us know. Hit us up. Send us your comments, or if you're for social justice or not. Let us know. We listen to everyone, but don't mean that we gotta like it.
Exactly. Yeah. And hey, to bring this back to what I was originally talking about, this Marvel show, The Gifted.
Right.
I actually really am enjoying the show. I don't know. Have you ever had a chance to see any episodes of it?
I've seen commercials. This is with mutants, right? It's like part of the X-Men stuff, or no?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's not X-Men, but it's part of that universe where
the
they
mutant
existed.
universe. Yeah.
Right. So, man, this show, it's like it's almost like X-Men, but it's different characters, and it's diverse, and it's great, and it's fresh, and it's not shoving it down your throat. It's they do it in a very creative way where each character gets a build up, each character gets a backstory and has complexities, and they're not just, you know, stereotypically written to be badasses. You know, it's not a competition of male versus female, and the female empowerment exists without it having to be in the forefront, if you know what I mean. They do it in a natural way where everybody has their own, you know, moments, and men and female, black and white, they all get their chance to show off their abilities, and they all have their own stories and their goals that they want to accomplish. So it's a very fresh show that I've been really interested in. I highly recommend it for the people. It's on season 2, and you got a couple of interesting characters. Just really quick, you got Magneto's daughter, Polaris. She's very powerful mutant in the show. And then she has her lover counterpart. He controls light. His name is Eclipse. And he's a very interesting character, new to the universe, I believe. I think custom created for this show. And he has. We also have Thunderbird, which if you know X-Men, he was also part of that like the movie series and the X-Men
Yes.
series, but he was a little bit downplayed. You don't see him as much. This one, he's one of the major characters, Native American, ex-Marine, and he's an expert tracker, extremely powerful, can take bullets. He's like bulletproof, um, almost like Luke Cage. So it's pretty cool to see a Native American represented there. Um, there is also the Von Strucker family, which I'm not sure how much lore there is in the Marvel universe about the Von Strucker family, but in this show, it's a family of mutants that find their power in difficult ways. One of them is psychic and is more like a destructive version of Jean Grey. His name is Andy, and he can manipulate like I guess psychic energy to just destroy whatever the freaking shit is in his way. His sister is kind of like an Emma Frost, if you remember from the Wolverine movie, where
Right.
she has like a diamond barrier, right? It's weird how that works, but and then their father most recently discovered his power. He was suppressing it throughout his childhood, and it reemerged in his adulthood. And he has the power to like disintegrate whatever he touches with his arms turn red, and whatever he touches literally just melts away like lava.
Let me real quick. When you said what would you say, Von Strucker or Bron Strucker, right? The
Von,
the
well, they're just called the Struckers, but it
but it's a
traces back.
family, right?
Yeah, so it's Reed Strucker, Lauren, and Andy Strucker, and they're all mutants. But Reed, the father, he didn't realize he had this power until most recently.
The reason I'm asking is because I remember this name from, I don't know if it's the same character, but uh Nick Fury had a movie, a made for TV movie made by Fox, with Hasselhoff playing Nick Fury. I don't know if you ever heard it or if you've seen bootlegs of it.
I think I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Well, the evil person, the villain, is a woman, and her name or her the last name was Von Strucker. That's the only reason. I'm like, I heard this name before.
Was she
And
German?
yes, and
Nice. Yeah, that's
there
her.
were like Nazis back in the day or some goofy
Yeah,
shit. But
dude.
that's
All
all I
right.
know about it.
That's their great grandparents or something like that. Yeah. So Reed Strucker, his great grandfather was I can't remember what his name was exactly, but he was a Von Strucker. That's their original name, Von Strucker. And him and his twin sister, when they combined their powers, like had limitless potential for destruction. They could destroy a whole like Sears Tower within the matter of seconds with their power combined. So
So
they had like limitless destructive power, and they passed down these genes to Andy and Lauren, and they're drawn to this like evil power, and I guess they're good kids deep down, but this power that they have is kind of trying to corrupt them.
so yeah, real quick, the name is in the comic Wolfgang von Strucker. That's the dad, and it says Andrea von Strucker and Andreas von Strucker.
Yep.
They're
Yeah.
twin. That's his children.
That's them. That's them. Andrea and Andreas, and they
Yeah.
had the male one had a kid, and that's Reed's father. So the grandfather is the Von Strucker, one of the twins. But anyway, one other character really cool is Blink. If you remember from the X-Men series, she can like teleport and all that.
I would say maybe I could recall. I don't recall her right now.
So anyway, yeah, they have a diverse cast. They have a Latin American, they have a Native American, they have an Asian, and they have a few white people in there too. And it's just and they have a black guy, Jace Turner. He's unfortunately he's a villain that has like a complex backstory because he lost his daughter through a mutant attack, and so he has it out for mutants. So throughout the series, he's kind of battling between killing mutants and whether or not to spare them, You know, if because it's almost like he hates mutants, but he doesn't know if he should because not every mutant is evil. You know what I mean?
So who's the protagonist? Who's the bad guy? Because all those characters, you sound like they're bad people.
No, the characters I mentioned are all good people. They're part of the mutant underground. They are the pretty much the closest thing to the X-Men. Now, unfortunately, the X-Men they're just gone. You don't they don't really go into detail what happened to them, but the mutant underground is based off of the X-Men's ideals, and
Right.
they're in this show. It's almost like it's like the concentration camp style, like Nazis versus Jewish people. It's almost like that. It's humans versus mutants, and the humans, they have it out for mutants, and they want them either in prison or eliminated. And the mutants are trying to exist, but it's very difficult because some of them have abilities that they can't conceal. You know what I mean? Like if it's a physical ability,
Right.
then you're gonna show it off just by walking around. And so it's interesting to see the hatred towards them. You really feel for mutants because not everybody is a badass. Some of them are just little kids that are trying to like go to school, and it's crazy, man. It's a good show. I think I've said enough about it. I just recommend you all see it before I get carried away here.
So real quick, you said season two ended. Did it end on a cliffhanger, or because
Uh,
you make it sound like season three is in limbo? You don't know. We don't know if it's moving or if Fox canceled it.
Well, that's the thing is that the merger has me confused as to whether they're going to keep it on Fox or are they going to switch it to Disney's streaming service, or there's even talks about it maybe being picked up by Netflix or Hulu. The creator has said this, by the way. That's where I'm getting it from. They interviewed him, and he's saying season two ties up some loose ends, but there's definitely a lot of motivation for a season three.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't mention the antagonist. So there's a big antagonist who is a mutant, but is playing both sides and is trying to. It's like a Magneto in female form. It's
Sexy.
yeah. It's very interesting. She's very powerful too. Very very powerful. Her name's
What's
Riva.
Riva? I don't know if that's a new character for that show or like in the mutant universe.
That's the thing, man. A lot of the characters either they're very new or they've been on the back burner and they haven't gotten the exposure that they need. But it's very cool. They all get their chance to shine. Very diverse and well written. Yeah, that's all I got to say
Nice.
for that. Which brings us to our news article of the day. And what we have here for this week is from USA Today. Grand Canyon tourist exposed for years to radiation in museum building, safety manager says. So real quick about this article, a lot of crazy stuff it seems like is going down recently, and now we see it seems like something like somewhat of a cover up, it seems like, for this incident that happened at the Grand Canyon Museum. And it seems like there was a couple of buckets of uranium that was
Yeah,
just somehow misplaced in the Grand Canyon Museum.
that was weird. And then the picture on the article, or if you, when you go to the link, and they have a picture of these three buckets in the back of a pickup.
It's really bizarre, man. I had to take a look at it. I'm just like, what is going on these days? Why would they have uranium just sitting around in a random museum? It seems like they mined it. It's a uranium ore, and they mined it from a nearby location. I'm not sure why they kept it in little buckets and why they moved it to the museum, but that's ultimately what happened. For the past 10 years, it's been there, and anybody who's been going to these museums would have had exposure to the radiation that it gives off. Now, I was kind of trying to look into how much radiation uranium ore gives off. Uh, if it's not enriched uranium, meaning if it's just natural, like that you get it from the ground,
Right.
and it wasn't due to like a nuclear explosion or power plant waste, Generally, that natural uranium is not going to have that much radiation. A handful is supposedly the same amount as 10 bananas. Because I'm not sure if you guys are aware or fans are aware. Bananas give off radiation. Actually, a lot of things give off radiation. We give off radiation. Um, but bananas specifically have a thing called potassium 40, I believe, which gives off low levels of radiation as I guess the particles decay. And uranium has these alpha particles that decay as the particles decay. They give off this radiation. Now, from what I was reading is if a handful of these have the same radiation as 10 bananas, then how much are 3 buckets going to have? And it's definitely more than a handful, obviously. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in a bucket. You know what I mean? So if all this amount of radiation is being produced by this and it's there, people are walking by, maybe sitting next to these buckets unaware because it's like in a museum covered. It was like in the back. Maybe people will be exposed to high levels of radiation. And it actually turns out that they did a little bit of investigation. And while the buckets were there, they had them use like a certain type of radioactive detector. And they found that it was for adults 400 times the health limit, and for children 4,000 times what is considered safe. That if children were around this within 3 seconds, they would be exposed to unhealthy levels of radiation. And for adults, within 30 seconds would be exposed to unhealthy amounts of radiation. So if you're around that for, imagine, 10 to 20 to 30 minutes, just how much radiation are you getting? And what kind of impact is it going to have on your health?
Well, yeah, the article also states that the whistleblower said the containers were stored next to a taxidermy exhibit where children on tours sometimes stop for presentations, sitting next to the uranium for 30 minutes or more. By his calculations, those children could have received radiation dosages of excess of federal safety standards within 3 seconds. And adults could have suffered dangerous exposure in less than half a minute. And then, so yeah, dude, going off of those numbers, I mean, depending how close you were to it, I mean, it's not good.
Yeah. Now since then, the whistleblower, his name is Stevenson. Let me see what his first name is.
I know they call him Swede.
They call him Swede, yeah. Elston Swede Stevenson. I was actually looking into him a bit, because there were people discrediting him and his claim. And he actually worked for the military before this. And when he was in the military, he had a few safety concerns regarding people falling because there was a lot of accidents. And so he tried to get some change implemented, and they tried to get him fired pretty much. And when they tried to get him fired, he appealed, and on the grounds that whistleblowers shouldn't be fired if they're bringing to light, pertinent, actual concerns. And so they stopped the process of him getting fired, and eventually he just left on his own accord. And this was the next job he had, is working for the Park Service. So he already kind of carries with him some kind of history about making claims of safety concerns. And unfortunately, people don't take him seriously. But he did get it investigated through his people, and they did find these levels of radiation. He also claimed that a lot of the people, he claimed racism ultimately. He is an African American male, and he claimed racism from the military. And he hasn't claimed that for this particular incident, but it's interesting how people are trying to cover this up and say there's no real danger, especially now that the buckets have been taken out. But to me, it's like the damage has already been done. If they found this level of radiation when the buckets were there for the past 10 years, it's been doing damage to the workers, to the people that visited.
Well, yeah, going back, it's really 18 years now. It's from 2000 to 2018. So tack on another 8 years on that. And if you feel like that's safe, then go get those fucking buckets and put them in where you work, or put them in your house and see how you feel. I mean, that's gonna have some impact on you. I don't care how little you think it is. You're gonna get sick. I mean, think about when you go to the dentist or when they take X-rays on you. All the shit that they put on your body. That person who takes the X-ray stands behind this fucking lead wall, and just for a fucking snapshot. Like, think about that, man. It's like how much protection they're getting. Like, I don't want nowhere near any fucking radiation on me, man. Or and then if the article also states that one of them had so much uranium that they couldn't even close the lid on the damn bucket. Like, if that's gonna do anything.
Yeah. It wasn't even like lead lined, and there was just so many red flags, man. The removal procedure, they say that they use like dishwashing gloves. I'm like, oh man, dude, like these guys are so screwed. I can't believe that this is actually happening. And in the article, it talks about a secrecy pact. It's crazy.
That was weird. The secrecy pact, and I mean, I don't understand how people who, doing, when you put people's lives at risk, and like all the, how in our society we're so happy. I mean, I don't care what you said. We're such a logistic. I can't even say the damn word. Logistics. We like suing people. We like suing each other. And when you do this shit, you're just opening yourself up to so much liability. Why wouldn't you handle that immediately? It just boggles my mind. And then I think they packed it up on some truck and dumped the rock somewhere or something, right? Because then the buckets and they reused the buckets.
Yeah.
Right? That was even weirder. Like, just throw the whole fucking bucket away. No, they bring it back like, hey, we could use it to move shit around in it, water and stuff. Like, you guys are idiots.
It's just mistake after mistake. I heard they threw it in like a mine area, a mining area where they actually, there is some uranium there as well. So all right, yeah. Right now, as it looks, as I'm reading this and seeing it, it seems like they're trying to cover it up and make it seem less than it actually is. There's articles right now kind of bashing this article. There's articles by experts, quote experts. I think they're bought and paid, honestly, but I have no evidence to back that up, so I'm not sure. That's just my opinion. These experts are saying that these radiation levels aren't dangerous. One of them even said, he's like, I wouldn't line my baby's crib with this, but, it's not that dangerous. It's like, the bullshit, dude. Bullshit, it's not dangerous to have all this radiation there. So it's interesting, man. I don't know what's going to happen after this. Like you said, this is a country that likes to sue people, likes to take things to court. I think that's part of why these people are trying to underplay it so that they're not going to get class action lawsuits by hundreds of thousands of people, because supposedly they get like over 1,000 people every year, and this has been going on for a while. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that have been exposed to this. It's going to be interesting what happens.
It's going to be, they're going to get sued without a doubt, dude. I mean, they're going to have to pay some settlements out, and it is just the current way America is right now, and I mean, as it should be, I mean, it is what it is. But we've discussed on the podcast in this show past about so many documentaries about lawsuits. I saw the documentary of that McDonald's lady who burnt, coffee burnt her, and because the coffee was too hot. That's a great documentary. I mean, this lady, she had to get like skin grafts. Like, it was messed up. We talked about the doctor lawsuits, how they mess up, and like there's caps on how much you could sue the doctors, because everybody's like, oh, it's frivolous, and like that doesn't even cover a lot of the things that you're gonna need, if depending on the severity of how the doctor messed up or impacted you. I mean, the lawsuit might give you some money, but it's generally doesn't cover long for throughout your lifetime is not going to cover the cost of what you need to stay or to repair or to fix whatever they did to you, you know, or medicine or whatever. The impact that it does to your life.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. We'll see what happens with this. I'll kind of keep an eye on it, and then maybe we'll do an update in a future episode.
Absolutely, man. You know, because we got to do our own secrecy pact, and we got to get out of here. But we want to thank you all for listening, and remember, you can follow Freeform Network, Facebook and Twitter at Freeform Network. Hit us up on whatever your thoughts on anything, SJW, fucking radiation if it's cool, but I don't want no radiation. Hit us up, send the questions, suggestions, or tell us we're full of shit or we know what we're talking about at ffnquestions@gmail.com. Hit us up on our webpage, freeformnetwork.podbean.com. And there you see all our fucking platforms. You know, we're on Apple Podcast, iTunes, whatever you want to call it. We're on YouTube. We're many other fucking platforms that you can listen. You listen to your podcast. I think the only one we're not on is the one they haven't invented yet. So, you know, give us like, subscribe, send everything on there. And then for Freeform Radio, we got Noel.
Have a good night, everybody.
You got Andy swearing an oath to always plug this show wherever I go. And we want to thank y'all for listening. And we're going to talk to you next time out in the streets.
That was cool, Dad.